What's up, everybody? What's happening?
What's up, everybody?
It's Saturday. It's been a little while since we've been here on a Saturday. We've been doing some traveling and some speaking different places, and
We're back.
we've been taking those Saturday nights to just kind of chill out. But we're here.
We're here.
And,
How is everyone?
We're I just making sure the sound was good. Listen, so if you're watching this now, or even if you're watching the replay, what we would like for you to do is hit the share button.
Mhm.
Hit the share button and share this with someone. It's because we want to get you all in this conversation as well. We're only going to talk about one topic tonight. Sometimes in these Saturday night shows, we tackle a couple of different topics.
We might veer off.
We might veer off, but we got one main topic tonight.
The intent is one topic
that we're going to talk about. So if you're watching this, hit the share button. And also, if you're watching now or if you're watching the replay, go ahead and shout yourself out in the comments. We want to know who's here and who is rocking with us tonight. All right. So if this is your first time and you have stumbled upon this somehow, some way, welcome. I'm Oliver.
I'm Denise.
And we are passionate about relationships. We are speakers, authors, and coaches in that space. I am the author of a book entitled Overcoming the Man Laws for the Man Who Wants to Be His Best Despite What He Was Taught. And you can pick that up on our website or on Amazon. We're also the authors of the Have a Conversation Couples Journal.
Mm-hmm.
And some other things that are out there and in the works. And so this conversation tonight is not necessarily an advice show. The advice show is actually Inside the Relationship. And if you're not familiar with us, Thursdays, we do a show called Inside the Relationship. and that is talking about all things relationships. This show is more about throwing something out on the table in hopes that it will spark conversation between you and your mate, right?
Mhm.
Because we say this at the beginning and the end of every one of these. Conversation is a catalyst for
Growth,
conversation is a catalyst for
bonding,
and conversation is a catalyst for.
learning.
And we hope that you want to grow with your spouse. We hope you want to learn more about your spouse. And we hope you want to bond with your spouse, right?
Yes.
So here is tonight's topic. We're going to jump right in because we're not going to be here for a very long time. We're going to jump right in. Here's tonight's topic right here. I'm definitely telling my
Telling my
spouse.
spouse.
I'm definitely telling my spouse.
Mm, mm, mm.
Now, here's where that stems from. My wife was watching a video of a woman who was saying that um, just know that if you tell me something, that even if you say to me, hey, this is just between us or don't tell anybody, she was like, I'm telling my husband. Like, let's just keep it a buck. I'm telling him, right? So really what we want to know from you all, and we're going to talk about it as well. What we want to know from you all is that okay? If someone tells you something and they say to you, hey, listen, keep that between us, don't tell anybody, is your spouse not included in that anybody? Is it okay for you to then go and tell your spouse, hey, I was talking to so and so and they said such and such and such and such, and tell your spouse, hey, listen, you know what, that's between, I told him I would keep that in confidence, or I told her I would keep that in confidence. What's your thoughts about that?
I would not tell you.
You would not tell me.
I would not tell you
Okay.
unless it's something, I don't know, life threatening towards either the person that told me, my wife, I mean
Mm-hmm.
my friend who told me,
Mm-hmm.
or my friend's husband.
Okay.
I think that I wouldn't say anything.
You would not say anything.
I don't think I would say
Okay.
anything.
Um.
Now,
Now.
having said that,
Mm-hmm.
if it was something like, I'm having an affair or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
of course I'd be like, you need to end it,
Mm-hmm.
and you need to tell your spouse. And if you don't tell them, I'm gonna give you some time. And if you don't say anything, I might say something.
Yeah, but
Well, I don't know if
that's
I would.
different though.
Why? How is that different? That's
Because that's between you and the other person's spouse. But I'm saying if somebody comes to you and it's like, hey, listen, I just want to share something with you because I just need to tell somebody. I'm I'm gonna use your example. I'm having an affair.
right.
And you're like, listen, I know, and they're like, listen, I know what you think. I know it's not good. I know all the things they know. And then at the end of that, they say, listen, I need you to keep that between us. Can you come tell me as your spouse, even though they said keep it between us,
Yeah, that is different.
we are us, which was the woman's argument,
Right.
right? She was like, we're one.
Yeah.
So the us is this.
Yeah.
So keep it between us means I'm definitely telling my spouse.
Yeah, I don't then. I don't think I would tell you.
Okay.
I don't think I would tell you.
Okay.
Because I feel like I have to be that person who is trustworthy.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you ask me not to say anything,
Mm-hmm.
unless it's detrimental, life threatening, or anything like that, I have to keep your word. That's
Okay.
how I look at it.
So, and I'm not disputing that, but do you understand the argument that she's
I do.
making?
I absolutely do. I
That
do. I
hey,
get it.
this is this we're one, and
Yeah.
so
The we are one doesn't end
right. So
with.
I so this can be held between us.
Yeah, I don't.
You don't agree with that though?
Yeah.
All right, listen. So if you're watching live now or you're watching the replay, would love to know your thoughts about it. And this is a tough one because people can't really come out and be like, yes, I would tell them,
Right.
because then people be like, oh well, then we ain't telling them that no more, right?
Right.
So I guess you can't incriminate yourself to say yes, I would or I wouldn't. But if you are brave enough to share your opinion on that, if somebody comes and tells you something and tells you, hey, this is between me and you, would you tell your spouse? Now, here's the question. Outside of the can you, not outside of the would you tell your spouse, is it okay though? Like everybody has a preference. Like, no, you wouldn't do it. Yes, you would do it. But
Is it okay?
let's look at it from a ethics perspective.
I
Is it
don't
okay to tell your spouse?
I don't know. I was going to say I don't think that it is, but I don't know. I personally feel like if you ask me, again going back to if you ask me and
Hmm.
not to say anything,
Hmm.
if I say something I feel like I'm not a trustworthy person
Okay,
if I
I
do.
get that.
So, yeah,
So I'm gonna put myself out there. I'm gonna put myself out on a limb. I'm sure, and I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but I'm sure I've told you something that somebody has told me this just between us.
oh,
I'm sure I
babe.
have. And
Babe.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that flippantly.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying I'm pretty sure I have.
Oh,
Like I'm pretty sure I have. And here is my thought process around it. I think that it depends.
okay. On.
I'm not saying there's a right or wrong. All right. So let's be clear for those of you who are watching. What we're not going to do tonight is say whether it's right to do it or it's wrong to do it. But here's my thought process. My thought process is there are some things that, first of all, before I say my thought process, I know that if I tell you something that you aren't going to broadcast it.
Of course not.
So I think part of it maybe is knowing the spouse you're married to.
I guess.
If you know the your spouse can't hold water, then that's dangerous, right?
Yeah.
You, since we're talking about me and you, I know that if I say something to you, I'll never hear it. We'll never hear it again.
Right. Right.
And then if I put in that caveat, which I don't know if I've ever done, you could tell me if I've ever done this. I don't think I've ever told you something and said the person said, keep it between us.
Not that I remember.
Okay.
So anything that you've told me, I don't know that it was a keep it between us type thing
Got you.
because I wouldn't say anything
You wouldn't say anything
anyway.
anyway. Right. Now, I'd be lying if I said there probably has been at least one or two instances where I've said something to you. Now, I can think of a couple instances where people have said this is just between us and I have not said anything to you.
Okay, so the couple instances where you think that you have probably said something,
Hmm.
the person that told you did not say keep it between us? Is that what you're
I mean,
saying?
they might have.
Hmm.
They might have. But I mean,
I
I agree to an extent with the woman in the video that you're watching.
What's the extent?
I think you have to one know who your spouse is.
Okay.
I think two, you have to um, be able to discern whether this is something like you said that's dangerous
Mm-hmm.
or those kinds of things where you're like, okay, yeah, I hear what you're saying, but we probably need to get somebody involved, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I think that's why I say to an extent. I don't fault anybody who tells their spouse. So if I tell somebody something and I say, keep this between me and you,
Mm-hmm.
I actually, and I don't know if this is right or wrong, but I actually expect them to probably say something to their spouse.
Really? I don't. I don't.
I'm not saying they should or shouldn't, but I'm just in my mind when I say if I've and
You
I
just assume that they will.
and here's what's crazy though?
I don't.
I don't know that I've ever said that to anybody.
I know I haven't.
I don't think I've ever
But
said to somebody, keep this just between us.
but here's the thing. Here's the other thing because you saying that makes me think of I know that I've said stuff to my besties,
Hmm.
but I haven't said keep it between us,
Hmm.
but they know to keep it between us.
It's just unwritten.
It's just unwritten.
Do you trust that they never told anybody?
I do.
W- Okay. No. I was. I,
I
I,
do.
I don't want to call them out, so I
I
was just about to
do.
ask a question.
However, if they were to tell anyone, I know who it would be.
Hmm.
Well, I know for the one that she would, if she were to say anything, it would be to her spouse.
Hmm.
And I would be okay with that.
So that was going to be my next question.
But
It's not really a big deal if you're okay with it.
it's not a big deal. But I
Hmm.
haven't ever said keep it between us.
True.
So,
I've never said that either. I think
and
it.
I know that they have said stuff to me
Yeah.
and they've never said keep it between us. But I just know it's just, I just don't say anything. And
Let,
I wouldn't anyway.
let me give an example. And this hasn't happened to me, but here's a great example in terms of discerning when you should and when you shouldn't, right?
Hmm.
Let's say somebody comes to me, let's say a guy comes to me and is like, "Hey, bro, me and such, man, we've been kind of seeing each other on the side." And the such and such is a friend of yours, and he says to me, "Keep it between us." Now I have a decision to make. If the such and such is a friend of yours, what
Mm.
would you do in that scenario?
I, oh,
Would you
I
still
don't.
keep it between them? So let's put it on the other foot. A woman comes to you and it's like, I'm uh I'm having an affair with
One of your friends?
Billy Bob, right? And Billy, me and Billy Bob is tight. And me and Billy Bob talk about their relationship, and he probably don't know that. And she comes to you and tells you that, and to keep it between you all. Would you tell me?
Is this Billy Bob person married?
Yep.
Mm.
Or let's make it even more crazy. Forget Billy Bob. I Let's say me and Billy Bob's wife are cool. And so now you know that Billy Bob is cheating on his wife. You know we're cool with the wife. Would you keep it between you and her? Or would you tell me
I probably, I, I don't know. I would just be like, end it before I have to say anything
before you
to
even have to
anyone.
do anything?
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah, I mean,
that's what I think I would do.
so I guess
What would you do?
I'm gonna tell you in a second. I guess we could argue the right or wrong based on ethics and loyalty and integrity.
Correct.
So if somebody tells you something in confidence and they're like, keep it between us, then you're probably not being a person of integrity if you tell your spouse. I'm putting a question mark behind that, but I don't know. So me, to answer the question, what would I do? Um, and listen, this may mess me up with people telling me stuff, but there are going to be certain things I'm going to tell you. Just
Why? Why? If someone says not to, why would you tell me? I don't.
um,
I don't.
because I'm going to tell you why. Because I can't
Do
justify it
you?
really, but I feel like, and again, we're speculating because I think I've done it before, but I don't know. So I'm just going to say it's never happened because I can't think of a time. But so I'm speculating that I would, in certain instances, probably do it because you are my partner. Like, I mean, I could see instances where I would be like, "Hey, listen, man, I was talking to so and so, and man, or I was talking to so and so, and listen, just pray for him." Maybe I don't even tell you the situation.
That's different, and
That's
I'm
different.
okay with that.
Maybe I would do something like that.
I'm okay with that. But I feel like if someone asks you not to say anything
Hmm.
and it's not detrimental, then you shouldn't say anything. I don't need to know that. If
So this is not an advice show, but let me ask you to give a piece of advice. What would you say to the spouse who believes that their spouse should tell them everything? Because if you think about it, people could kind of throw that in our faces too. Because when we do our communication workshop, we say that you should be able to.
Tell your spouse anything.
Well, no, they can't throw it in our face
No.
because we say you
You
should be
should be
able
able
to,
to, not that you
not that
have
you have
to.
to. Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But what would I say? What's your question again? What would I say?
What would you say to the spouse who says, "Well, that's my spouse. They should tell me everything"?
I mean, I can't, what can I say? What can I say to that? They should, but I can't say yes. I don't know. I don't know what I would say to the spouse, the person that says
Oh,
that.
I was just
Have a
curious.
conversation with your spouse, and if you feel that way, not me. What can I? What can I?
Yeah, I don't know. So I'm curious. It's quiet in comments, but I'm curious what people think about that. And if somebody's been in that situation and what was the decision they felt like they had to make? Or is that really an easy decision to make to just be like, they said don't tell anybody, so I'm not going to tell anybody.
It's easy for me.
So, all right. So I'll keep that in mind. So, um, shoot all your secrets my way, fellas. She ain't going to never find out. Good, bad, ugly, indifferent. She ain't going to never know if you tell me keep it between us. Um, I can only think of maybe two instances where somebody has actually said that to
Said
me.
that.
Keep this between us.
And did you?
I believe I did.
Man,
So here's the thing with me, right? I don't think there's a lot of danger in that because often, like you see the conversations I have on a day to day basis, right? Or you hear me walking around talking sometimes upstairs, maybe in and out of the bedroom when I'm on the phone, or in and out of this office when I'm on the phone.
uh-huh.
Typically, when I get off calls, even if somebody were to tell me keep this between us, I'm on to the next thing. So I may not even remember. Even if I did say to myself, man, I'm going to tell her, I probably would never get around to it because I'm on to the next thing and wouldn't even remember it. So,
Well, that's a good thing.
so
That's
I
good.
don't know. However, that's a, and the reason why we do this show is because we throw these topics out in hopes that you will have a conversation about it because that is something that couples don't talk about.
Mm-hmm. They don't.
Now, there might be some expectations,
Right. But they're unspoken.
but they're unspoken,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
so that's probably a conversation you need to have with your spouse. Hey, if your homeboy comes to you and is like tells you something, I don't feel like you should tell me, or I do feel like you should tell me, and why.
Because here's the thing that you don't want to happen. You don't want to say something to someone, right? And
Hmm.
then say to them, this is between you and me. And then you know, bump into the person that you told, you bump into their spouse.
Hmm.
And that person's like, yeah, so my wife told me that da 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 da.
Yeah, yeah,
You don't
that's
want that to happen. If
that.
you said, you know, keep it between us.
But
That's
but
mm-mm.
so, and I'm with you. And for those of you who are kind of jumping in and out, here's the topic tonight. I'm definitely telling my spouse, based on a video that we saw where a lady was saying, "Listen, just know that if you tell me something in confidence, I'm telling my husband."
Mm-mm. I just
That's what she said, right? So that's the topic tonight. What do you feel about that? Here's the thing, though, with that, I agree.
yeah.
I agree, but that speaks to some immaturity
Not
and lack of
necessarily.
integrity on the spouse. Like if somebody
No.
tells you something in I'm not justifying it, but I'm just saying if somebody tells you something in confidence
Hmm.
and you tell me, and then when I see the person, I'm like, blah blah blah. Man, I'm an idiot for that.
Well,
Because
it,
if they told you in confidence and you come to me and be like, hey, listen, so and so told me this in confidence, I'm just sharing it with you, bro. Man, I would be the dumbest of the dumbest to see
well,
that person and be like, hey, Nisi told me that. That's crazy.
no, but the you said the lack of integrity. The lack of integrity is me saying something to you in the first place.
I agree. I agree. I'm not disputing that. I'm just saying the other side of that coin is the spouse going to the other person is crazy work.
Mhm.
Like that's ridiculous. We got Jesse in the house, Jesse Radford in the house. What's up? Thank you for
She
being
said
here.
that's messy. What's up,
It's
Jesse?
that's messy. Camilla, shout
Hi,
out to Camilla.
Camilla.
What's up, Camilla? Good to see you. Thank you for being here. Listen, this is what we're talking
Oh,
about
you missed
tonight.
a comment
I did. Oh,
above Jesse's.
hey, Just, what's good?
Just
Isn't that
said,
what
isn't
pillow
that
talk
what
is
pillow
about?
talk is about, though?
Mm.
But also, if that's your spouse, that shouldn't change their perspective or opinion about said person.
I
I
agree with that.
I don't necessarily agree that that's what pillow talk is about.
So
No.
so let me say this. Let me say this. I won't say that's so much what pillow talk is about, but the other side of that statement though is that it shouldn't change the person's perspective. I agree with that.
Hmm.
I do agree with that. Now, yeah, you see why this is a tough one. Yeah, this could get, and I agree with what Pastor Radford said. That's messy. I agree with that. If someone is married, my assumption is they are telling their spouse.
So I
See,
wouldn't be
that's me too.
surprised.
I just said that earlier, Camilla. I agree with that. If and I said that earlier. If I tell somebody something and I'm like, it's keep this between me, I'm making kind of the assumption that at some point they're gonna say something
Mm.
to their wife about it. That's just me. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but I'm with Camilla on that.
So Daniel Canoe, what's up, Daniel, says it is not wise to share this kind of information with your spouse or significant other. As humans, we naturally attract others, and sometimes people may attempt to cross boundaries. It's our responsibility to protect our relationship by shutting those advances down and making it clear that we're committed. However, disclosing such situations to your partner can often do more harm than good and may create unnecessary tension in the marriage or relationship. Agreed, but we're not necessarily talking about someone having an affair.
Yeah,
This
that
is
it
just,
depends on the
it
issue with that.
depends on
Yeah.
the issue. So in this situation, in this topic for this show, it's not necessarily only about someone having an affair. It's anything that is spoken to you in confidence.
I mean, that's an interest. You so Daniel. However, though, Daniel, you bring up a very interesting twist.
Yes.
So if a guy comes to you and it's like, hey, listen, I forgive me if this is inappropriate. I just want to tell you, and they just proceed to tell you, man, you're attractive, man. They admire you, blah blah blah. It's like, listen, I'm not trying to go nowhere. I just wanted to tell you, and just for the sake of peace and harmony, just don't mention that to Oliver.
I I think, well, that's not, I think I would tell you because in that instance,
Hmm.
it's not I'm not telling you for like, this is just a conversation that we would have. I think that, I don't know how to say this, but I think I would tell you in a, man, you wouldn't believe what just happened to me today type
Okay.
thing in that situation.
Okay. Camilla said, "No, I'm telling, because that guy is testing the waters to see if you're going to keep that secret."
Hmm.
Mm, okay. So,
That's true.
so then it's not really a blanket. You can't tell anybody.
Maybe not. Yeah.
Hmm. Just said this is good, y'all. What Daniel said, I am telling. Yeah. So listen, in that scenario that I just gave you, I would tell you as well.
Yeah.
I would. Now, here's the thing, though. I might not sometimes. I don't know.
And I might not in that scenario. I might not either because, I'm shutting it down.
Yeah.
And
If
then
you
that's the end of it.
if you shut it down, and again, I think this kind of goes back to knowing your spouse, right? So
Hmm. Now, if it happens again, then I might say something.
yeah, if it happens again, then to what Camilla was saying, they are tested
Right.
to see what your reaction is going to be the first time, and if you don't bat it away,
Mm-hmm.
or if you just like, oh, thank you, hey,
Right.
listen, I appreciate that, blah blah blah. And they're like,
Mm-hmm.
you appreciate it, okay,
Yeah.
yeah. So that yes, but thank you, Daniel, for adding
Showing
that
us
little
another
side road
side.
on there. I like
Mm-hmm.
that because that's a whole nother situation. We were just thinking along the lines of somebody telling you something in confidence. Hey, listen, I'm struggling in this area, or I'm having an affair, or
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to get out of whatever the case may be, right?
Yeah.
Um, so thank you for that twist on that. I listen again. This Saturday night show is not an advice show. You're always gonna get our opinion, but this is really, I feel like, a great topic
Mm-hmm.
because again, this is something that couples don't talk about. They may
Yeah.
have expectations around it, but they don't talk about it, and usually it doesn't get addressed until
Something blows up.
something happens
Yeah.
that they feel like shouldn't have happened.
Mm-hmm.
Something crazy like what you said, which to me is just ludicrous in my mind, but I guess it would happen, that your spouse would then see the other person and be like, oh, my husband or my wife told me such and such and such.
Mm-hmm.
What? Why would you even do it? I mean, that's a whole nother situation. Why would you even do that? Like,
Mm-hmm.
if you tell your spouse something, again, I guess this is unarticulated, if that's a word, expectations.
Yeah.
You would expect that if you tell your spouse something and they're like, hey, listen, so and so told me this in confidence, you would expect them not to do something stupid like see the person and be like, my spouse told me.
But if the person says something to me in confidence and I say, hey, listen, so and so said this to me, but I didn't say they said it in confidence because I assume you're not going to say anything.
Again, unmet, I mean,
Unspoken
yeah, expectations, right?
expectations.
Because I feel like that assumption should be there.
Mm-hmm.
If you telling somebody
Yeah.
something, hey, I was talking to so and so, and here's what we were talking about. I just want to share it with you. Like, I feel like that's a given, but
I agree.
apparently it's not. Apparently it's not.
Yeah. Just says, with this, what if you don't have the answers and you go to your spouse to have a sidebar convo without saying who it is?
I, I mean, I don't see no problem with that.
Yeah, I think I would be
Yeah,
okay with
I
that.
don't see no problem with
Yeah,
that.
I would be okay with that.
And again, you gotta know your spouse too, because if your spouse is going, if the spouse is the type of person that's gonna press you, well, who we talking about? Like if they're mature enough to have that conversation
Right.
and not need to know the who,
Yeah.
then absolutely,
Yeah.
without a doubt. Our marriage is a team, so anyone around me knows I am always tagging
Tagging
in
in
my
my
teammate
teammate to get
to
his
get this
perspective.
perspective,
Yep.
and I don't see nothing wrong with that.
Right.
I,
I would
yeah,
also tell my husband if the person wants to keep it on the low.
okay, but here's the thing though, and we get to Jesse's comment in a second. You said, however, though, in the beginning when we first got on,
Mm-hmm.
you would not do that.
Yeah.
All right, let's get Jesse's comment. I think it's a case by case thing. So do I. When men share with me, it's typically in my vault. When it's the opposite sex, I typically ask them if I can share with my wife
For her
for her perspective
perspective.
or to cover my hind parts. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
that's cool. And that's smart. That's smart. Um, yeah, that's smart.
Yeah.
I haven't been in that situation yet. I'm trying to think. I haven't. I haven't had somebody of the opposite sex come to me and confide in me and say, "Keep this between us."
Yeah.
That I'm almost sure has not happened.
Yeah. It
Um,
hasn't happened to me. I know that for sure.
9 times out of 10, and it's interesting. I'm just thinking about a conversation I had literally today
Mm-hmm.
that I have not yet talked to you about, but I'm going to.
But
And
if they
it wasn't
said,
in confidence. It
okay.
wasn't in confidence.
So I was like, if
But
they
I'm
said
speak.
in confidence, I don't want to know.
It wasn't in confidence. But to speak to what Jesse was saying, um, this is somebody of the opposite sex who I'm going to have a conversation with. And generally, when that happens, she's always going to know, right?
Mm-hmm.
I have coached very few females, and not because I don't want to, but just that's just how the cookie crumbles at this point.
Yeah.
But having said that, there is nothing that those people tell me that you would not know.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's just whether that's right or wrong. That's how I'm choosing to. That's how I'm choosing to run it with the opposite sex. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just again for what Jesse was saying
Yeah.
to cover yourself,
I get that.
right?
Yeah.
So I see that, and that's why I agree with that, with it being on a case by case basis,
Mm-hmm.
because that you do have to cover yourself
Yeah. I
when
get
it's
that.
you dealing with the opposite sex.
I get that.
When it's your boy, you know, it is what it is. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I think you make hopefully make a judgment call based on discernment and based on we're people of faith, so there's going to be some Holy Spirit guidance in there somewhere
Right.
in terms of like, man, should I show me what to do? You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? Jay said, listen, y'all, I can't hold water no more with my spouse. So whoever sees this later, if you told me something, she knows. Oh, hey, listen, man, I appreciate the honesty. That's what's
Mm-mm-mm.
up.
That's funny.
Camilla said, this is so interesting. I really thought it was a universal thing that when you tell somebody who's married, you assume they tell their partner. I would be surprised, like, so and so didn't tell you. And it is a thing, Camilla. Like, and there's some people who are of the mindset that you are, where you're like, okay, it's a given.
Yeah.
And the video that we're even basing this conversation on, the woman said
She
the
thinks
very
the
same
same
thing.
thing.
She
Yeah.
was like, listen, just know I'm telling him we're one.
Right.
So if you say keep it between us, this is the
This is
us.
us. Yeah.
It's like this is us. So us is one. Keep it between us. That means he gonna know. So
Yeah.
that's basically what she was saying as well.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody doesn't feel that way.
Yeah.
Like everybody doesn't feel that way,
I'm
and
glad.
everybody doesn't respect that either.
Yes. I'm glad that Jesse Radford said it's a case by case basis because I never thought of it that way. Because in the beginning, I was like, no, if you ask me not to say anything to my husband, I'm not going to say anything
Hmm.
unless it's detrimental. But then, the whole opposite sex thing.
Hmm.
Yeah. The coaching thing.
Yeah, and typically we're coaching for us. This is just for us. This is
Hmm.
I'm not saying this for everybody, but for us, typically. Well, I won't say typically. We're we probably together 50. Would you say 50% of the couples we do together, and the other 50 I do by myself?
Mm,
Is it 50 or is it
it's a little bit more than that, I think.
maybe 60-40?
Yeah, I don't know the percentage, but
So there's a percentage. Basically, what I'm getting at is there's a percentage of couples that I do by myself.
hmm
Not necessarily because I don't want her here. It's usually a scheduling thing, right? The sessions, she's just not available for certain sessions. However, because we're a coaching team, she's gonna know.
yes, in that instance, yes, we talk about the
We talk about it,
sessions.
right? We talk about the sessions. The sessions are recorded, so she gets to review them if she so chooses.
Hmm
Obviously, we run the email accounts together, so when people are asking questions or
But
I'm going back and
but
forth, they're
that's a
going to
little
know that.
different because the clients they know that they
They do know.
know
That's true. They do know that
that
going in.
I may not be sitting here with you, but
That's
they
true.
know that
That's true.
we both know what's going on. It's still a coaching session, both of us.
So that brings up a question though. Just like how we set parameters with them,
Hmm
can you set parameters with your friends to be like, hey, listen, it's going to be kept in confidence, but we're both going to know.
Yeah, you can,
And then they could just decide, well,
and then
hey,
they can decide whether or
well,
not
I
they
don't,
want
I
to.
don't want so and so to know. Now, if somebody says to you, I don't want Oliver to know, is that a red flag?
Not necessarily, because maybe they're
Does it depend
just,
on this,
yeah,
whatever
it
they say
depends on
next?
the situation and whatever. Yeah, it depends on
Okay.
what it is they want to talk about.
I challenge those of you who are watching now or watching the replay, if you've never had this conversation with your spouse, to ask them and see what
Yeah,
they think.
yeah,
I would be really curious. Well, I mean, you don't have to tell me, obviously, but I'd love to be a fly on the wall in that conversation. But And the reason why I'm saying that is because I can almost bet that that's a conversation. I don't even think that's a conversation we've had.
I don't think we
I think
have.
tonight is the first time we actually are actually having a conversation about that.
Yeah, I don't think we have either.
Because I feel like we have this expectation, whether it be, to what Camila said, that, hey, I just assume that if I tell somebody who's married something, they're gonna tell their spouse,
Yeah.
right? We may make that assumption, or we just have that expectation that we're not going to do it,
Right.
right?
Hmm.
So I would be curious, man. Have that conversation if you have never had that conversation before. For those of you who are kind of jumping in and out, we're actually about to get out of here. We're only doing one topic tonight, and
Yeah.
that topic is I'm definitely telling my spouse. And that's based on a video that we were looking at where a lady was saying that, listen, if you tell me something, I'm definitely telling my husband. Me and my husband are one. So just know, you tell me something in confidence, it will be kept in confidence. And if you
Between
say keep it
us.
between us, just know that us, because we are one, this is the us. And yes, we'll keep it between us. And so, that's a conversation we urge you all to have as well.
Hmm.
Daniel said this conversation feels like a continuation of the privacy versus secrecy topic you discussed a few weeks ago. True, with
With
the
the
sex
sex
therapist.
therapist.
Yep.
That was the one. That was one of the most interesting and thought-provoking episodes you've ever
Wow.
aired.
Thank you.
It actually sparked a deep conversation between my wife and me. We opened up about a lot in our marriage. We got so engaged, we didn't even finish watching the episode. Awesome. We definitely need to revisit it sometime soon.
Man,
That's
that's awesome.
awesome.
That means a lot, man. And that's a perfect place to end, right?
Yep. That's
This is
what
exactly
this is all about.
why we do this, right?
Yep.
Is so that people can have these engaging conversations and it can spark conversation, man. Thank you for sharing that, Daniel. That means a lot, bro. Thank you for sharing that. And shout out to you and your wife, man, for digging in and engaging and sharing, man. That's because we say this often, all the time, actually, with this show, that conversation is a catalyst for
For growth,
conversation is a catalyst for
bonding,
and conversation is a catalyst for.
learning.
And we hope you want to learn about your spouse. We hope you want to grow with your spouse. And we hope you want to bond with your spouse. So
Yeah.
listen, this is one of those conversations that you should have. And not necessarily to beat your spouse over the head about what they think, but actually to know what they think.
Right. Yeah.
And if you know what they think, you can craft some strategy about what to do next. So,
Yeah.
man, thank you guys for being a part of this. Those of you who are watching, those of you watching the replay, shout out to all of you. Those in the comments, thank you for being here. We appreciate your adding your 2 cents to this conversation. And listen, keep sharing. If you got some thoughts about it, continue to share in the comments. Do us a favor, hit the share button. If you're watching this right now or watching the replay, hit the share button so others can be exposed to this content as well. We're going to get out of here again. If you rock with us, or if you're new to being with us, we want you to check us out on Thursdays at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Have a Conversation.
No.
No, for Inside the
Inside the
Relationship.
relationship.
Inside the Relationship is a relationship show where you will get advice. And Daniel, I believe, was talking about this episode that we had with Tanique Gentles, which was a fantastic episode. So if you didn't get a
It was
chance to
really
watch
good.
that, go to our YouTube channel. I would say go wherever you're watching this, but I see Facebook now deletes your lives after, what is it, 30 days
30
or
days,
60
I
days or
think.
something like that. So
Yeah.
this might not be there. I don't know.
Yeah.
But if you go to our YouTube channel, all of our episodes are there. Saturday night episodes, Thursday night episodes, and a ton of other content as well. So listen, we're going to get out of here. Thank you for being the best part of this experience. And listen, have a conversation, man.
Have a conversation.
Have a conversation, man. It will just be an awesome thing to have a conversation. Jay says, Mama Pop, y'all got 13 minutes left.
Left. Don't leave us hanging.
We
Don't
do.
leave us hanging?
That's true.
What?
That's true. We do usually get out of here at 11. We do usually get out of here at 11. You're right, bro. we only had one topic tonight, so we was like, man, if we might be able to stretch that topic for 45 minutes. But yeah, you're right. Typically, we try to do close to an hour.
We do.
But yeah, we gonna cut it. We're gonna cut it at the 50-minute mark tonight. Listen, shout out to Jesse Radford in the comments. And here's what's crazy: so much has happened this week. I'm not even sure I told you this, but I'll tell you afterward. But shout out to Jesse Radford. Jesse Radford also has a podcast as well. So if you're still on, Jesse, put your podcast information in the chat so folk can check you and your wife out as well. They're doing some great things in the marriage space as well. So make sure that you check them out. So if you're still here, bro, put that in the comments. We'll wait to see if you do that. And then the other thing I want to say while I'm waiting to see if Jesse's here is I want you to look out for the next Have a Conversation After Dark live in front of an audience.
It was so much
Man, we had a
fun.
really
The
good
first one.
time.
It was great.
We had a
If
good
you
time.
missed it, you missed it.
Uh,
Don't miss the next one.
Yeah, those that are in the DMV area, we did have a conversation. We did this show in front of a live audience in Columbia, Maryland. Man, it was
It
crazy.
was
I
really
loved
good.
it.
We haven't posted a lot of clips from
We
that.
will.
We need to
We
post
will.
some more.
We will. I'll be posting some content from that experience. But be on the lookout. We're going to do another one in this area before we take it on the
Take it on
road.
the road.
So we want to do. I don't know what's going to be next. Either New York or Philly will be next. We just try to figure out logistics and whatever we get set up first. That'll be the next one. But we're going to do another one here, and then we're going to do either Philly or New York after that.
Mm-hmm.
So just be on the lookout for that, man, because we want you in the house
It
for
was
that.
so good.
We need you in the house for that. Okay, Jesse put Riding with the Radfords on Facebook
And
and
YouTube.
YouTube. So make sure that you go check that out. Riding with the Radfords on Facebook and on YouTube. When you get on YouTube, make sure you subscribe. When you get on Facebook, make sure that you follow and get aligned with their content as well. We hope to kind of connect and be on their show and vice versa, have them on ours as well. So you'll be hearing more about that soon. All right. Thank you for sharing that, bro. Appreciate that. All right, listen, we're gonna get out of here. Blessings on you. Have a fantastic rest of your Saturday night or whatever day this is you might be watching the replay. Have a great week and have a conversation. Have a conversation. We'll see you folks.
Good night.
Peace.